All right, we're back with another interview. Got another one of my partners. I am so stoked to introduce you all to. This is Ivan Cano out of El Paso, Texas. And he is going on 3 years in his journey in real estate. Left corporate America, cold turkey, to launch a career in real estate. And it's been quite the journey, but here we are 2 years later, still early on in the journey. And Ivan is top 1% out of all real estate agents in the great state of Texas. But we are not done growing and going. And there's a lot more, I believe, that will be in store on the journey ahead. But I'm excited that we're here, that Ivan's going to take some time to share some of the knowledge he's acquired along the way. Honestly, not even just in real estate, but in his whole journey on the corporate side, becoming a vice president in his previous career, and then leaving that behind for what he believed would be a better vision and opportunity for him and his family with what he could do in real estate. So here we are right here, right now. But Ivan, brother, thank you for taking the time to be here and to share more with the audience here this morning.
No, thank you for having me, Tyler. I look forward to this. This is awesome, man. And it's just wild to hear. I didn't even realize I was top 1% in Texas, man. That's still, it just blew my mind right now when I heard it. I had no clue. So that just gives you an insight to just how detached I am from that.
I mean, we're right there. I was looking up your stats the other night. And I mean, I know I'm not surprised to hear that's your sentiment, because I know your mindset. I mean, we're nowhere near done growing. Just because you're doing good, it doesn't mean this is where we're going to stop or, just stagnate or whatever the case is. But we're going to talk a lot about real estate. And actually, if you're watching this, maybe it's the first time you've seen one of these. If somehow, some way you're not subscribed, do yourself a favor and hit that button, because you don't want to miss the value you're going to get, not just this week, but also in the future with what is coming down the pipeline. But Ivan, before we even talk all the real estate stuff, man, what was your journey like before real estate?
Yeah, so honestly, I've had a great career prior to real estate. I got my accounting degree way back, and got a accounting job at a university in El Paso. Did that. That was amazing. I got a great mentor, in there as well. But the pay wasn't that great, so I moved positions, and then I just started the corporate journey, if you will, and I just started picking up and learning along the way, and just had, like I said, a fantastic career. Has always been pretty good. Hard work, I think, has always been the defining thing in my career choices, because it's always gotten me to the next level. Recently, my most recent position, I did end up being the executive vice president for a company that was involved in federal government contracting. And that was really good. It taught me a lot. The mentor that I had before real estate for almost 7 years basically took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot and really just let me, grow professionally. And I did that, and it was good. I made very comfortable living. I just traveled a lot. I lived out of a suitcase basically, and it's hard with a young family, and being the head of the family. It's hard, and it takes a toll.
So what prompted the shift into real estate? I mean, I think a lot of viewers can probably on some level resonate working a more traditional corporate 9-to-5 sort of job, because a lot of people come from that before they get into real estate. But it sounds like you are in a really solid spot in your career, that maybe there's a lot of people out there that would love to be in that kind of position. So why change? Why venture into real estate after building a successful career?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the reason was, like I said, I had a fantastic career. It was awesome, but I had to travel a lot. But really, if we get into the nitty gritty, the reason why I was so successful was because I made business decisions as if it was my company. And honestly, if you're going to succeed in the corporate world, most people I think they call them like entrepreneurs. And so if you make decisions based on like if it was your company, you usually tend to be, one of the best performers within the corporate world. So I did that. And the problem with that, Tyler, is, I moved within the company as if it was my own, but the problem is it's not. So, just an example for that company's history, they never landed any significant line of business like I did. I brought in an over $30 million line of business. I crushed it with that. And again, it was awesome. It was a learning experience. I don't hold any, resentment or anything, because again, it was part of my journey in life. But I quickly realized like that took a lot of effort on my part. And so I think that's where, if I'm being truly honest, I think the journey happened once I had a very good conversation, pretty intimate conversation with my mentor. We're just talking life and business. And he flat out told me, and again, keep in mind, this is the gentleman that took me under his wing, and I had worked for him for almost 7 years. He said, we had a chit chat about that. And I told him like, hey, this is the thing. Like, I'm bringing in all this money and I'm moving like it's my business, but it's not. And he said, Ivan, as long as you always work for someone else, that's the way it's always going to be. And so I think that was the seed that he planted that just started eating at my brain, if you will. And it just kind of, he planted that seed of just that moving on to the next, or what's next. So that was during my time at that company. But really, I brought in that line of business, and again, it wasn't really that. But in that corporate world, they're cyclical. So we came into this company, turned it around, built it up, and then new ownership took over. And then I could see the writing on the wall. Things started changing, and just, again, business acumen or instinct, whatever you want to call it. I kind of realized, and I saw where it was heading. What they were saying wasn't lining up with their, the moves they were making. Made a decision, and I walked away. I put in my resignation. At that time, at the same time, my grandmother, my dad's mother, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so that kind of, I think, was the push where I just kind of focused on maximizing my time with her and helping my dad out during that time, because it was a lot. And so things lined up. I just went with it. I jumped off a cliff, and that was the move. However, real estate had always been in the back of my mind, but it wasn't really something I was seriously considering. I think where it happened for me was when I was looking at applying for other careers and other jobs, other positions. I got to be honest, Tyler, when I was making those applications and I was sending them, I was telling myself, like, do you really want to do this again, Ivan? Like, do you really want to do this for another 5 years plus, and then do it over again, and then do it over again? And that's, I think, where it really started to change for me, where I started thinking, well, what can I do? I'm going to business for myself. And it just so happened, again, we can go into it, and just, first and foremost, to God be the glory, but he put certain things and people in my life. And, I said, why not real estate? And really, I just started getting my license. I just, that's kind of how I am. If I promise myself something, I just do it. I sat down, knocked it out in, I think, a little over 28 days. And that was what led me into real estate. But I think the decision was, I didn't get into real estate expecting it to be easy. It's just, I really had a pretty frank conversation with myself. I said, if you're willing to work this hard for, at a company that isn't yours, what if you take that and apply it and work even as hard or harder? What can that look like? And really, I think what drew me to real estate was it's uncapped. So you make it what you want. I mean, really, the potential is limitless, and I truly do believe that. This is an amazing industry, and I think that was the decision maker for me. It's like, hey, let's do this and see how far we can take it. And again, that's what really got me into real estate, and here we are, man. In the journey.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, quite the way to get into things too, just to like jump right in. I mean, no guarantees, no anything. But you went for it, man.
Yeah.
And like, even more specifically too, I know you're like a super, sharp, savvy guy. Like, so, I mean, looking at the playing field, getting into the industry, I'm sure you looked at different companies and how you could best position yourself for success out the gate, which to me, it sounds like you were in a situation where, I mean, you needed to make this happen, even though there wasn't a guarantee. It's like, I'm kind of hearing it's like, hey, we can't take a chance here per se. Like, we got to actually build a business and get this ball rolling. So you saw your options. Given your options, why did you go with EXP Realty? And we ended up partnering here, obviously, but I guess why, out of anywhere you could have gone, why EXP?
Yeah, so that fantastic question. And again, I gotta chalk that up to my business acumen. I made a business decision, and since the start. So a little bit of insight into that. When I was getting my license, Tyler, the goal was always I'm going to build a real estate business, not be an agent, but build a real estate business. And I told myself, you're going to get your broker's license. Whether I end up using it or not, it's just something that I'm going to do. So I was already thinking, business. And so I took a business, again, just business acumen. I looked at all the different brokerage models. And again, I was already into stocks at that point. I was already investing. So it was pretty simple. I looked at EXP versus other brokerages. And again, they all have their pros and cons, but I think what did it for me with EXP, and I kind of saw it and made the decision a no-brainer. I couldn't see myself anywhere else. And the reason is I took away the stock and the stock plan and all the benefits from the stock. I took away the revenue share and I compared it as a straight brokerage. And I did the numbers, the splits, and all of it. As a straight brokerage, if I'm here for 5 years, is it competitive? And it is. I mean, if you do the numbers, it's very competitive as just a traditional brokerage, splits, etc., everything. So I said, okay. And then I added back in the two pieces. And I said, okay, in 5 years, if these two other pieces, revenue share and stock, don't pan out to be what they seem like they're going to be, and this is again while I'm getting my license and researching brokerages, what did I lose? And really, I didn't lose anything. If it's just like being at another brokerage and then just switching to another one. You don't really lose anything. And that was just as a business decision. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, but what if it does work? What if it does turn out to be what I think it is? And it has. I mean, spoiler, the stock is fantastic. I mean, that was the best decision I ever made. But that was really the decision, Tyler. It was just a calculated business decision, along with a little bit of gut and instinct. And I said, hey, I love the stock aspect and I love the revenue share aspect because those are two very different things that you don't see with other brokerages. Everything else is kind of similar, but it doesn't compare. It kind of pales in comparison to other brokerages. But that was the defining thing. As I said, if I dedicate at least 5 years to this, what do I lose if it doesn't pan out to be what I think it is? And I didn't stand to lose anything. I could just switch brokerages at that point, et cetera, if it doesn't work out, if it wasn't. So the risk was essentially minimal or nothing in my mind. And that was the reason. But there was all these other benefits with EXP, and it was just so different. And again, this is coming from a business acumen or business mindset. Just being in the industry I was in, we were acquiring businesses, doing different things in my role as executive vice president. So I really took a look at it as if, I'm investing into or buying a business. This EXP was different in so many different ways, and I thought it was ahead of the game. And again, prior to 2020 and the pandemic and stuff where everything kind of went remote, there was an example that, the brokerage being cloud-based, et cetera. Most of my business, and just so everybody that's watching knows, I landed that $30 million plus between an airport terminal and a conference room in Hawaii. Two conversations took place, and that really was the defining conversations were had in those places. So to me, an office, I wasn't in my office that I had at corporate headquarters. Most of my business was done virtually, phone calls, Zoom calls before the world changed in 2020. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, EXP is very forward thinking. They don't have overhead. They are truly built for times like the ones we're in now. Again, just, EXP is great. Look at their numbers, the published numbers. It's just one of those things that I kind of saw, and now I'm being vindicated in my beliefs and my basically overview of EXP because it's turned out to be everything I expected and more.
So on that note, what have you personally found to be most beneficial about operating your business at EXP so far? Because I mean, I think what we just heard was what you saw going into things. So maybe it was something you didn't expect or something that you didn't see going into things. But I mean, whatever comes to mind, what have you personally found to be the biggest benefit as you've built your business these past 2 years?
Absolutely. And that was the outside looking in. So what we just discussed was me not knowing anything about EXP and just, outside looking in. That was the decision maker for me to get into EXP. And then fate happened and you and I connected paths, and that's how the partnership came along. But I got to be honest, Tyler, I cannot be grateful enough that I connected with somebody that wasn't local, which is being you, and then all the connections and just the collaboration that takes place at EXP. There is absolutely no coincidence, and I can say that unabashed. I would not be in the position I'm in right now in my career as a real estate agent if it wasn't for EXP. No doubt in my mind. Because I see it every day. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, and I understand, and I see now, looking back in retrospect, I see where the impacts happen that change the trajectory of my career. And not to get ahead of ourselves, but one of those was EXP Con 2021. I mean, it was one of those things, but really it started with the connection with you, not being local and just being exposed to big think, quote unquote. Just it changed everything now. It changed absolutely everything. And I think that's the unexpected side of it is the culture within EXP and just the willingness to share and just make everybody around you better is something that not just in real estate, because again, I'm new to real estate, but that's something that you don't see in basically any industry.
Yeah, so you're saying the actual people, the community that you've met, both on the
Yes,
ground and just being within this company, have made the biggest impact.
100%. Yeah, that was the unexpected, I guess, fringe benefit of EXP. And I think that's really just I think that is it goes unnoticed a lot and people don't really take that into consideration when making a decision, but that was absolutely the difference maker. I mean, just being around, it's a different mindset of people that are within this company, and that's the majority. I mean, obviously not everybody, but the majority of the big shakers and movers within the company are just so collaborative, and they're willing to pour into every single one of agents that are within the company. It's just an amazing thing, and really, I can tell you, hands down, just partnering with you and being connected with you, and then you introducing me to all kinds of different people within the company at EXP, and they just made such an impact on I don't even want to say you just agent trajectory, but just my personal life. And we can get into that. That's a whole different aspect. Again, it's just been amazing. And I truly do believe that statement. I know you've heard it, but it's EXP is secretly a personal development company that's disguised as a brokerage. And I truly do believe that because, again, it's just been an amazing, amazing run. And that business is one aspect of life, it's one facet. It's just, life in general. EXP has been fundamental in just making my life better overall.
That's amazing. I love to hear that and that's been your experience. And that's the kind of experience that people who plug in and really make the most of the opportunity they have, can actually have. Yeah, on that note, I mean, what would you say since making the decision and commitment to dive into real estate the way you did? What's been the most difficult thing you've had to overcome in that whole process?
Hands down, it's been the mindset. That's been the most difficult thing. It's the self doubt. Basically, that was it, man, because starting into it, I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't expect it to be easy. But again, going from a salary position to a 100% commission based career with no, I mean, again, you said I cold turkey just jumped straight into it and burned the boats essentially. And it's one of those things that was the hardest thing is the mindset in the fact that I was given the game plan. I was given, advice again from big movers and shakers, big thinkers, and everything is handed to you. Like you said, EXP has everything we need to be successful. As long as you leverage it and you do use everything we have at our disposal, you will be successful. But starting out, and again, this is a very hard industry to be in. I think the hardest thing was doing what I knew would work because it's been proven day in and day out without seeing immediate results. And that has been the hardest thing. It's really just doing what we know we need to be doing, but maybe don't want to do consistently without seeing immediate results. That's what I think the biggest struggle has been. Just the mentality, because I think honestly that crushes a lot of people, and not just in real estate, and just any undertaking people take, whether it's losing weight and getting in better health, etc. It's a lot of it is the minutia, and that's what I've really come to encounter. That was the hardest thing, is just keeping that faith of like, hey, if I do this consistently enough and I put in the work, it's gonna bear fruit.
And what have you found to help you through that? Because I think a lot of people do struggle with that, like you mentioned there. So, like practically speaking, what have you found to help you just keep progressing despite that?
So, man, there's so much there, and a lot of it is with EXP. It's the people that you partner with, the calls that we get to, the rooms we're put into. Again, I think, but if I'm being honest on it, I think the biggest thing was EXPCon 2021. That going to that event and being at all those, at the event itself, and being at all the events that where they were speaking, Brent Gove, et cetera, just to name, top to the top of my head, Brent Gove. There was so much there to take in that I think single-handedly changed the trajectory, because it made me have faith and believe like, hey, if I do these things, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make it. But I had to have that faith that, hey, these do work. You just have to consistently put in the work, and then it's going to bear fruit. But it's honestly, it's EXP. And again, we can get into it. There's just so much there for people watching Workplace, our own private Facebook. Just the amount of motivation and the collaboration that takes place, etc. EXP family tree, that was a big impact early on, just seeing and plugging in early on, because let's face it, when we start out, you don't have a lot of production going on. So what we do have is time. And so I did plug in, like you said, to everything that EXP was offering. You would send me all kinds of links, like, hey, make sure you jump on this call, etc. And it's just, if I walk it back, there's just so much. But really, it was that. I mean, EXP has just been instrumental, and the people within it is what makes it so special.
So the progress you've made, the success you have created an impact in real estate thus far, how has that impacted your life up to this point?
Honestly, I mean, the success in real estate, if I can put it in simple terms, is it, life by my terms. That's really what it's allowed me to do. Again, overall, my whole life has been better, Tyler. I mean, I can't, financially, I've never been better. My family life has never been better. My health has never been better. I mean, you name it. It's just my mental state. It's just the strength mentally I've grown as a side effect of joining EXP and the people that I've been surrounded with. I mean, we can go on, but it's really, life has never been better in every facet of my life. I mean, this has just been amazing. One of the best decisions I've ever made. And I'm excited. I mean, this is just the beginning. Like you said, it blew my mind to hear you introduce me. And like, I don't even think about that. And it's just crazy and wild to think that, this is barely into my third year, and where it's going to head.
Absolutely, brother. And you've got a big vision with it. So, I know you're always thinking bigger, aspiring to do more. I mean, you had, by industry standards, you had a phenomenal first year in the business. I know that you probably don't quite feel that way, but a lot of people would love to have a first year like you had. And I mean, this year, I'm trying to think, you've had you've been growing since year one too. I mean, I know we don't have a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of years to reference, but so far it's been a growth trajectory that
Yeah.
you've been on. And I know you have no plans of slowing down, but I believe year to date, you're somewhere like 7 going on 8 million in closed volume or something along those lines.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I doubled from year one I doubled in year 2, and I'm on path. And now year 3, I'm on pace at the moment to surpass my second year. So it's just that's the key. It's if you're not growing, you're dying. So that's kind of the goal. It's basically I'm competing against myself and what I've done. But yeah, you're right. I had an amazing first year. I'm truly grateful for it, but it was so far off from where I wanted to be. And I think that's one of the things that I just have that double-edged sword, good or bad as it may be. It's one of those things that there's always more. Like you can always do better. And again, we've had conversations where you perfectly understand what I mean. Like I had a great year, my first year, but it was so far off from where I wanted to be. Some people say I'm a little too hard on myself, but I think it's one of those things. If I wasn't that way, then I wouldn't have had the first year that I did.
100%. And I point that out because like I know some people are watching on this journey, like they aspire to be closer to where you're at today. And so my hope is that they can take some of these insights and go and apply them in their own business to grow and whatever their goal is to go and progress towards it. But yes, 7 going on 8 million in volume. I believe closing in on 30. You'll probably end the year at over 30 closed deals for the year. And I know, I mean, next year we're going to set you on a trajectory to keep building upon that and compounding it all in the years ahead.
Yeah.
And let's talk about like what you learned specifically, like knowing exactly what it's like to be in this business starting out, zero clients, $0 in production to reference as something you've done in the business to where you are today. What would you say the biggest breakthrough you had was in that process of going from zero to now very much consistently closing deals every single month?
Yeah. So, gosh, the biggest breakthrough again, I think it has to be EXPCon 2021, and just being in the room next to the biggest movers and shakers in our industry. I think that kind of set something in my mind of, hey, you know what? 100 deals is, pretty much easy. Like, why aren't you trying to do 100 deals, or why are you only trying to do 100 deals? 100 transactions in a year. Like that kind of thing really set something apart in me where I'm like, okay, well, this is the standard, right? Like if I don't do 100 plus deals a year, then maybe real estate's not for me. And that this is the ignorance, if you will, going into the industry, and not realizing, the magnitude of 100 plus deals and what that really entails. But I think it was really being around that. That was the breakthrough. But we can walk it back. I mean, again, I don't believe in coincidences, but partnering with you, before I even onboarded, you were inviting me to build 21, which I missed. Again, I just couldn't make it happen. But as soon as the video was released, you sent me the link to YouTube, and I sat down and watched all the speeches from Build 21. And I think that really just got me into the right mindset. And I just put my head down and started working. And again, my first closing, I think, happened with 3.5 months, and I could have used that money for so many different things, but I'm glad that I took the leap of faith and I just, said, let's do this. And I took the leap and I went to EXPCon 2021, because I think that was the defining moment for me where everything changed.
Yeah, and I know these big events, man, that's very consistently the experience I hear people who go on and create the most momentum in the business. There's a tendency that they have that as a reference point. They got in the right room with the right people early on in their journey in real estate. I'm so glad that you made that commitment early on when, I mean, financially, it was probably about as far from the easiest thing you could have done at the time that you could have done financially, but you knew that
Yeah.
that's what was going to move the needle. At least you trusted the leadership you had that was telling you, hey, you've got to get in this room, it's so important. And you trusted it, you believed in it, you made it happen, and now you're seeing what difference it actually made in your trajectory. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So knowing what you've learned along the way, you've learned a lot in the process of building what you have thus far. If you could go back and give yourself just one thing day one getting into the business, what would that be?
Ooh, there's two. I think if honestly, man, I gotta say it's probably been um, hiring a TC. earlier. I didn't do it for the longest time, and I got to be honest, Tyler, it got hectic earlier this year. It got really hectic to where I was, I don't want to complain. I'm not complaining, but I was drowning in success, if you will. And I wish I would have listened to my leadership sooner and my mentors within EXP and hired a TC sooner rather than later, because it just buys you back more of your time. And then I diverted that time and again, you have to do it right. Yes, I hired a TC and I freed up time, but then what did I do with that freed up time? I put it back into the business and, again, and that's how you get the growth. But I wish I would have done that sooner rather than later. But yeah, because I was told that from day one, and I was told that from day one and I didn't implement that. But that's probably one of the biggest things for me personally. Like, I wish if I would have gone back, I would have hired a TC sooner.
So TC, so someone to help you with all the paperwork, contract to close, to save you time in the
Yes.
process of working all the different clients you are, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because again,
right on, man.
It allows you to continue that growth. So I would have started it sooner.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's funny, a lot of people I don't feel are thinking about that day one, but you were hearing like very early on, based on your goals and your vision, that was something you should do.
Yep, 100%. And again, if anybody listening and watching this, it comes back to the big think and being around the big movers and shakers. Basically, as a new agent, I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to get 100 deals, or I want to get 100 deals. And the big movers and shakers are like, basically they're forcing you, or they were forcing me to ask myself, like, why only 100? Like, why are you only trying to do 100 transactions? And that's a very big paradigm shift. So yeah, so that for me personally, that was the thing. Yeah, that was the one thing. I wish I would have hired a transaction coordinator earlier on, because I saw the effect on my business. And yes, it costs you money, but it freed up so much time that I put back into my business. And that's where the doubling of business from year to year came from, just being able to better use my time to grow the business.
Yeah, that makes sense. So looking forward, man, we're about to turn the corner into a new year. And, I know you're thinking well beyond the year ahead here. So what would you say you most look forward to accomplishing on the road ahead?
That's pretty easy. It's just a sustainable growth year over year. Again, because I don't know if it's my business background or what, but I track that as a whole. Like, what did I do last year and where am I as far as pace? So that's where I want to keep growing the momentum, and just kind of, I'm looking forward to it, because I'm going to be brutally honest, Tyler. Again, if this is a quote unquote bad market that we're in, man, I cannot wait. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I see opportunity, and it's one of those things that I'm competing against my last year self. So I'm on pace to exceed what I did in year 2 for year 3. And so I'm just looking at how can I continue that path and that pace. And that's what I'm really looking forward to in the short term for me, is the next year is doubling what I did this year. And that's really the goal, at least double it, if not more. But I'm on track to do that. And really, I think I enjoy the challenge of kind of having to adapt to this, new market that we're in, or this ever evolving market. Because again, it's always changing. And I think that's what we have to remain, is nimble and be able to adapt to different circumstances.
Oh yeah, 100%. So sustainable growth, keep growing and building upon it year after year. I love that, man. So kind of last thing on my mind here for the audience, for somebody who's listening to this, who wants to put themselves in the best possible position to create lasting success in the industry, what would you say is one thing you'd leave them with, if there's anything you haven't already said?
Man, really is focus on yourselves. Again, it's been, if I got to say one thing, is focus on yourself, and really, in order to be successful, and I know you and I have had conversations about this in depth, Tyler, but is really focusing on yourself, turning that mirror on yourself, and understanding and accepting the reality that you are responsible for every single thing in your life. And that, if you're able to do that, and you're really able to, focus on and understanding that, hey, I'm the one that's in the way, I'm the one holding myself back, once you truly grasp that and you work towards making yourself better and really taking control of your life, it's amazing what you start to see unfold. And I think that's my biggest thing of a piece of advice I can give to anybody watching is you really have to believe in yourself, but more importantly, you have to accept the fact that you are responsible for yourself in all aspects of your life. Yes, life's going to happen. It happens to everybody, but control the controllables. And once you understand that and you really take that to heart and understand that the biggest thing holding you back is the person looking back at you in the mirror, that's when the real change starts to happen. And it's crazy what you see unfold before you.
That's amazing, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And I want to do something for our audience, if you're okay with this, because like I know me, I think you as well, Ivan, are looking to connect with people out there that are like really committed to building something that will create lasting change for themselves and their families in real estate. So, what I'd like to do, if there's anyone in the audience, if you've been listening to our discussion here, if you resonated with anything that Ivan shared, and you would like to connect further with us to see how we can best help you navigate the road ahead, anything that we can possibly bring to the table to help you move the needle forward, I'd love to give the opportunity if they want to reach out to connect with us. Would you be okay with that, Ivan?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Tyler. Again, I'm a big believer in that. You know that. You guys poured into me. I'm willing to always pay it forward and pour into someone else. And yeah, absolutely. Anybody that watching wants to connect with us or me or anything, I'm more than happy to help.
So do this. Go ahead and send an email. You'll find my email below. Make sure you mention Ivan that you saw this conversation, and depending on where you're at in the journey, I'll coordinate a connection for you. To see how Ivan can best bring some value to the table. Whatever the case is, maybe there's something I can provide more input on. But we're both here to help, and we're looking to connect. I mean, honestly, we're looking to even potentially partner with people, no matter what market area you're in. If you want to grow your income and build a sustainable business for the long term, and something that you can really look forward to, growing and ultimately living out your goals and dreams for yourself, for your family, whatever the reason is you're doing this. So send that email, connect with us. And Ivan, if anyone wants to follow you along your journey, is there a place that they can go to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram, it's at Life According to Ivan. Facebook is Ivan Cano. I'm on Google. I'm on YouTube. YouTube is the same, Life According to Ivan. You'll find me on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, just feel free to reach out. Direct line, all of my direct line, my direct phone numbers on all of my social media sites, including YouTube. So anytime, anybody watching, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. And again, it's first and foremost to God be the glory. But Tyler, thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I really appreciate this.
Of course, brother. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule and day to make this happen. I'm confident that it made a difference for at least one person out there, hopefully more than one. But yeah, for everyone watching too, I hope you got value out of this. And if somehow, some way you haven't already subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss more conversations just like this one, because I believe if you're listening in, you'll find at least one nugget. And that's really all you need. You don't need 100 nuggets. You just need one nugget, one thing that you can go out and apply immediately in your business and life to make a difference. So figure out what that one thing was from our conversation here. Go and apply it and see what kind of difference it makes for you in your life. But Ivan, appreciate you again, brother, and everyone else. I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace.